I used to wake up every morning with this heaviness in my chest, like the weight of my past was physically pressing down on me. For years, I thought this was just my life now, that I was permanently damaged goods. Then I discovered something that changed everything. And today I'm going to show you exactly how I finally broke free. Welcome to the Emotional Freedom Masterclass. I'm Pamela Starusta, and what I'm about to share with you took me years of struggle and countless tears to discover. But it ultimately led me to develop the positive perspective method that has now helped so many women transform their relationship with their past. Before we dive in, I want you to know something very important. If you feel like your past experiences are still controlling your life, you're not alone. And more importantly, it's not your fault. No one ever taught us how to properly process our emotional experiences, but today that changes. Let me share something personal with you. About 7 years ago, I was going through a devastating divorce that brought up all kinds of childhood trauma that I hadn't expected. I couldn't sleep. I could barely function. Every setback felt like confirmation that I was fundamentally broken. I remember sitting on my bathroom floor at 3 o'clock in the morning, sobbing uncontrollably, thinking, this is it. This is my life now. I was defined by my trauma. I was trapped by it. And no amount of positive thinking or affirmations was making a difference. What I didn't realize then, what I wish someone would have told me, was that I wasn't actually trapped by what had happened to me. I was trapped by how I was relating to what had happened to me. And that relationship was something I could change, I could control. The transformation I'm about to share with you didn't happen overnight, but it did happen step by step and using the exact technique I'm going to teach you right now. Here's what I've discovered. We're all carrying something. Maybe it's childhood trauma. Maybe it's a betrayal, a devastating loss, a failure that still makes you cringe when you think about it. And society has told us two equally unhelpful things about these experiences. First, that we should just get over it, as if time alone heals emotional wounds, which it doesn't. And second, that these experiences have permanently damaged us, that they're literally part of our identity now. Both perspectives keep us stuck, but there is a third way, a path to genuine emotional freedom that doesn't require forgetting or minimizing what happened to you. It requires something much more powerful, transforming your relationship with those experiences. But before I share the solution, I want to ask you something important. What has staying emotionally tied to your past already cost you? For many of my clients, it costs them their confidence, their peace of mind, their ability to fully be present with the people that they love, their willingness to take risks or try new things. And if nothing changes, these costs compound over the time. The longer we stay trapped in our relationship with past pain, the more it infiltrates every part of our life, our health, our relationships, our sense of purpose. This is why I'm so passionate about the work we're about to do today, because emotional freedom isn't just a nice to have. For those of us in midlife, it's essential to create the second half of a life that we truly deserve. But here's the good news, and it's really good news. I've discovered that there are three specific mental shifts that can transform your relationship with your past. Three powerful reframing techniques that don't require years of therapy or complicated protocols. These techniques form the foundation of my positive perspective method, and I've seen them create profound changes for women who thought they tried everything. In the next few minutes, I'm going to teach you all three. And if you apply even one of them consistently, I promise you'll start experiencing a level of emotional freedom you might not believe is possible, even right now. Are you ready? Let's start with the first and a very powerful reframing technique. The first technique is what I call the story shift, and it's based on a profound truth. The events of your life are not the same as the story you tell about those events. Let me explain. Our brains are natural storytellers. When something happens, we immediately create a narrative around it. This happened because that. This means that. This proves that I am. These stories feel like truth, but they're interpretations. They're not facts. For example, one of my clients had carried a painful divorce for 12 years. Her story was, my marriage failed because I'm fundamentally unlovable. That story affected every relationship she tried to rebuild afterwards. But when we examine the actual events versus her interpretation, she was able to realize that there was an alternative story that was equally plausible. Her marriage ended because they were incompatible and lacked the tools to bridge their differences. Same event, completely different story. The second version didn't define her worth or predict her future. Here's how to practice the story shift. First, identify a painful past experience that still affects you. Now, write down the story you have been telling yourself about what it means. Ask yourself, is this the only possible interpretation? Now, create an alternative story that's equally plausible, that doesn't limit your worth or potential. The power of this technique isn't in denying what happened. It's in recognizing that you have the freedom to interpret your experiences in ways that don't keep you trapped. I'd love to know if this is resonating with you so far. Drop a yes in the comments if you can already think of a story from your past that might need some reframing. The second technique is what I call emotional archaeology, and it's about digging beneath the surface emotion to find the unprocessed feelings that are actually keeping you stuck. Here's what I mean. When we experience trauma or something of significant pain, we often focus on just the most obvious emotion, like anger, sadness, betrayal. But these surface emotions are usually protecting something deeper, more vulnerable feelings we haven't fully acknowledged. Now, it's only when we acknowledge these deeper emotions that we can begin to process and release them. Here's how to practice emotional archaeology. First, identify a past experience that still triggers strong emotions for you. Now, name the primary emotion you feel when you think of it. Now, ask yourself, what's beneath that feeling? Keep going deeper and deeper until you reach the emotion that actually feels tender and vulnerable. All you have to do now is acknowledge that feeling with compassion without trying to fix it. We're just trying to bring up these emotions into the light, because once you do that, they lose their power over you. So you don't just process the event, you process the deeper emotion. Now, the third reframing technique is one of my personal favorites, and it's called future self wisdom. This powerful perspective shift allows you to access guidance from the wisest version of yourself, the one who's already walked through the fire, healed, grown, and come out stronger. Most of us relate to our past from where we stand right now, still carrying the pain, the fear, and the unanswered questions. But imagine looking back through the eyes of the you who has already made peace with all of this. I remember when this practice changed everything for me. It was after my divorce, and I was sitting alone on my back porch night after night crying, not because I missed the marriage. I knew it had been unhealthy, but because I couldn't stop replaying all the things I did not do. I never spoke up. I never left when I should have. I kept adjusting myself, hoping that staying silent or believing that if I gave more love, it would eventually be safe to stay. The regret of not acting sooner felt like heavy. It was almost paralyzing. But then one day I sat quietly and invited in this future version of myself, the version who had already done the deep healing, who had turned her pain into wisdom and her story into strength. And what this version showed me was so different from the harsh inner voice I was used to. She didn't judge me, she loved me. She reminded me that I stayed because I believed in love, because I wanted to protect my family, because I didn't know yet that I was allowed to put myself first. She saw the beauty in my hope, even when that hope hurt me. She told me, "You weren't weak, you were loyal. You weren't blind, you were trying to see the good." And then she gave me permission to let go of the guilt that I had carried for years. This practice actually helped me reclaim my self worth, not by rewriting the past, but by re-seeing it through eyes that are filled with wisdom and compassion. And it's really one of the most powerful things. Here's how to practice future self wisdom. Close your eyes and visualize meeting your future self, the wisest version of you in 10, 15, or 20 years from now. Now imagine showing this future self the past experience that you're struggling with right now and ask, what do you see about this situation that I'm missing? Ask, what advice would you give me about how to relate to this experience? Now, write down any guidance that you receive. This technique works because it activates a part of your brain associated with creativity and problem solving. You're literally accessing wisdom that is already within you, but you can't see it from your current perspective. I'm curious, which one of these three techniques do you like the most? Number one, the story shift. Number two, emotional archaeology. Or number three, future self wisdom. If you can, just put number one, two, or three in the comments. Now, you might be wondering, how do I actually integrate these techniques into my life? And that's a great question. The key is consistent, gentle practice. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is emotional freedom. But even small shifts can create powerful momentum. I recommend starting with just one technique, whichever one you feel most comfortable with, and apply it to one specific past experience that's still affecting you. Spend 15 minutes with it each day, write down your insights, and then over the next week, notice how your relationship with that experience begins to shift. Does it feel less heavy? Do you have more perspective or a different perspective? Are you able to talk about it differently? Some transformations can happen almost instantly, but others unfold gradually. Both are totally valid. The most important thing is compassion. You're undoing patterns that have been in place for decades. I hope this information helped. Please hit the subscribe button for weekly lessons on personal growth and happiness. And thank you so much for letting me share this information with you.